Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you all so much for tuning in today. I'm so excited to see all of you here. We are joined by the brilliant fellow Dreamers and Doers member, Sarah Loughry, a content strategy expert who's going to help us master the art of crafting web copy and content that appeals to both search engines and audiences. We're going to discover the delicate balance of targeting keywords that drive traffic while staying authentic to your brand. Creating copy that converts is so crucial for any business, but SEO often gets neglected. Nearly 80% of consumers use Google to find business information, but frequent algorithm changes make ranking challenging. SEO doesn't have to be hard, as per Sarah. This session is ideal for anyone struggling with web copy, content strategy, or SEO. A little bit more about Sarah before we dive in. She's a content marketing expert, the founder of M-Content Studio, which partners with small to mid-sized businesses to grow through organic traffic by creating content strategies for SEO, including blogs, case studies, and web copy. With 12 years in the marketing space and 7 years specializing in content marketing, she helps businesses develop content strategies to improve their search engine visibility. Sarah is dedicated to helping businesses shine online. Sarah, we're so excited to learn from you today. We also know how valuable your time is. We really are grateful to you and are appreciative to you for investing in the Dreamers and Doers community in this way. And with that, I will very excitedly hand it over to you.
Thank you very much. And also, sorry, we're on day like 21 of kids being home, and for snow days. So I'm trying to balance. And of course, I said like, hey, for this hour, like really, you can't come in, okay? And we're 10 minutes in, and she's like, hey, can Natalie come over? I'm like, yeah, just leave for another hour. But thank you. Anyway, so hi everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. It has been a big start to the new year, and I appreciate you guys taking the time just to talk about SEO and nerd out with me for a little bit. So I'm going to start presenting. And fun fact, I created this like PowerPoint that had like animation. Actually, the truth is it's like very minimal animation is what I had. And then it didn't work. And so now you get a PDF, but this is fine. This is going to be fine. So, can everybody see my screen? Okay. Does everybody feel good about it? Awesome. And then also I I want to start by saying that I want this to be very conversational. SEO can feel very technical, very complicated, and I think that's a common misconception, actually. There's a lot of jargon in this space, and there are a lot of people that kind of can use that jargon to make it seem harder than it is. And so my goal today is just to be transparent, just to kind of give a high level overview of what SEO is. And if you're someone too that you already kind of know the basics, don't log out. We're going to get more granular with it, but I want to make sure that we're all kind of on the same playing field to start with, and then we're going to go deeper into strategy, into web copy. And just something to think about too as we move forward, near middle to end, I'm actually going to ask someone to volunteer if they want me to take a look at their site currently. We can pull it up and I can go over exactly what I see and how I look at sites when we look at them, so that I can give you kind of direct feedback on things that I might change or improve, or things that are working for you. And that way it'll help get a head start for everybody else. I just think when you're actually put some of these techniques into use and utilize them like in a session, it just makes it so much easier. So without further ado, first thing I want to point out is that I was the one who named this session as Mastering SEO for Optimized Web Copy, I think. And that basically used optimize twice in the sentence, which really hurts my soul. So it was like mastering search engine optimization, web copy optimization. It's like really bad for my brain. So I apologize for doing that. I swear I'm a better writer. But hi, it's me. My name is Sarah. Thank you so much to Dreamers and Doers and Nicole. We finally got to connect after all of this time. This is just like a little bit about me, but I'm going to go over like just a brief intro like she did, which is essentially like probably most of you, I got my start in corporate marketing, made my way to the C-suite, like my whole goal in life. And then I was sitting at a big conference room table with men who literally told me that they didn't want my opinion on my own department. And I was like, oh, okay, well, peace out then. So I left. And so I started freelance writing and editing. I landed at a digital marketing agency with the best team who taught me everything about SEO. And that's where I got all of my expertise. And I was able to take the knowledge experience of all the writing and editing that I'd done, and then couple it with all the optimization, which is what brought me to M-Content Studio, and why I created it, is to create quality and optimized content. And so we're about to turn 4, which is very exciting. As most of you know too, it's a roller coaster ride. So it's just like, I'll be having the best life ever. And then the next week I'm like, we're going to shut down. Like, it's just, I think, part of the ride. But I love being able to give back. And primarily I partner with female owned businesses, because female owned startups or mid-sized business, because I have found that SEO is often inaccessible for small business. And so I try to do what I can to just inform, be transparent, and help out. So I love wine. It's amazing. Give me all the coffee, so much coffee. I travel all the time. I don't eat animals. I love them so much. And I suck at PowerPoint. So if you are like coming here today and you're like, yes, let's get a good PowerPoint presentation, it's not your day. And I'm really sorry, but I promise you, I'll give you so much more value. Okay. So at the end of this, you're going to understand what SEO, these are my goals for you. You're going to understand what SEO is. I want you to be able to identify applicable keywords to you. So I'm going to tell you what tools to use, to download, to do that. And then I want you to be able to at least start to identify, your current, like how to improve your current web copy, or what's working or what's not. So you'll be able to view this kind of in a different way. And that's what I want you to leave with. And with that said, I also, this is so conversational. So please, if during this I'm talking about things and you have a question, interrupt me. I'm fine with that. That's what this should be, is a conversation. And I'm sure other people would appreciate questions throughout. And then at the end, of course, I'll leave time too. So we're going to start high level about SEO and what it is, right? So the main goal of SEO is that you want to befriend Google, so that when someone types in a search query, specifically your target audience, Google chooses you as the person to show up for that result. So let's say for a second that you are selling socks. I actually did have a client who was selling socks, so this is perfect. Say you are selling socks, then you want somebody who, for example, is typing in, the best running socks for a marathon. You would, of course, want Google to say, ha, I have the perfect answer. It is this company. And then you would show up, right? So that's SEO. So the whole idea with what I do in content and how to do that is to learn how to manipulate your content so that you speak directly to Google. And that's not really a bad thing. It's just learning how to manage it and manipulate it and put keywords in specific places so that Google can recognize you sooner, and then you would show up essentially for whatever keywords that you're trying to rank for. So the way to do that, and by the way, I'm going to get way more granular with that, but that's just kind of high level. So the way to do that is domain authority. That's the first thing. Every website has a domain authority. Domain authority, it's essentially your credibility with Google. So you get a score from 0 to 100. So imagine Nike, imagine Amazon, I'm sure, is probably close to 100 because Google trusts them. We all know they're a credible company. They have a ton of content coming in. They're credible. So they're probably up there. That basically means that they can go after the hardest of the hard keywords that other major brands are ranking for, and they could have a chance to compete for it and to show up on page 1. That's what that means. So the ultimate goal is to raise your credibility with Google. With that said, so most small businesses that I work with, most will have a domain authority of 10, a domain authority of 15, sometimes 20. If they're in the 20s, I'm like, woohoo. A lot of them I work with actually have domain authority of 0.07, just really, really low. And that just means you're just kind of getting started. You're just kind of getting out there. I don't want anyone to think, so if you're a new business, if you've been around for a while, you don't even know your domain authority, you think it's low, you're not sure if it's whatever, it doesn't mean you can't rank. That just will affect the type of strategy you have to take for choosing keywords, which we'll talk about. So the thing that helps you increase your domain authority, and by the way, it sucks, but it is a very long, slow process to grow your domain authority. Google is very finicky with who they like to be friends with. So you just have to keep at it, right? So there are 3 main pillars. see, this is where the animation came in. It was very cute what I had done. But anyway, so there are three main pillars, which is consistent content, web copy, backlinks. These are your three main pillars that help inform domain authority and make it rise. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about real quick, because we are getting to the web copy, which I know is like the bulk of it. I want to go over the other ones though, so that you guys have a full foundation of what this means first, and you can understand the importance of each section. Okay, backlinks. So, first of all, so basically what a backlink is, it's another site, they're linking to your page. So when they do that, so let's think really quickly. Let's go back to high school. Sorry, just for a second, I promise, and we'll get out of there. Let's go back to high school. Okay, so you are super unpopular. No one knows who you are, but you start dating the star of the basketball team. All of a sudden, everybody around is like, say what now? Who is that? And your status goes up, right? Because you're dating the star of the basketball team. So you must also be cool if they think you're cool. That's kind of how backlinking works for Google. When a site with a higher domain authority than yours links back to you, then it tells Google, well, they trust you and they have a higher domain authority, so you must be trusted, and it will bulk up your domain authority. In my experience, backlinking is the fastest way to increase your domain authority. It will go a lot quicker, especially if you have some of these bigger sites with really high domain authorities linking back to you. And actually, shout out to Dreamers and Doers, because things like being featured in some of these amazing press opportunities, those are these major sites like Thrive and Motherly that have very high domain authority, and they're linking right back to your site. It helped mine raise from, and funny enough, I'm actually, my website, I'm not even trying for SEO, which I know sounds weird, but it's marketing. It's saturated in content marketing. So I thought I want to go for more of like connecting with people. Anyway, that's a whole side story. But just through Dreamers and Doers, I have a domain authority of 10. And my site I've like not done consistent content. That's just from the backlinks. So there is something there. My argument, and what I will say that makes me probably different from others, is that I'm sure there are backlink strategists out there. There are companies that you can hire to get quick backlinks. I say no. That is normally a waste of time and a waste of money, especially as a small business. Don't invest in that. Instead, look for more authentic ways like Dreamers and Doers, or like partnerships, or free opportunities is what I have here, which is like, are you on your local business directory? What about directories within your niche? Are you on those? Most of those are free, and those are big domain authorities that will link back to you. So there are free ways of doing it before you would have to go to a paid version. So anyway, that's backlinking. If everyone
That's
feels
a
good about
quick
that,
question.
please.
Uh, so are there, I guess, bad backlinks? I've noticed here recently that I've got this whole batch of like spammy SEO, listed in my backlinks that they're trying to get you to go to a website that's trying to sell you SEO services. They're just kind of annoying on my search term, but do they do any harm for existing?
Awesome, awesome question. So I'd have to look at your site. Do you know how much organic traffic you're driving right now?
I would have to look at it. My
Okay.
domain authority is like 22 right now.
Ooh, solid. That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, which
Um,
it's been a long time coming, but I've just noticed this whole slew here recently that have been weird.
yes, yes. Okay. So you can there's a couple things to this. There's a little disagreement among SEOs, which is, and Google, which some say that, like, yeah, it's probably not great for your site. You should disavow them, which you can do, by the way, and or I can
Mhm.
help you do it. To learn how to disavow a link, basically you're just telling Google, you're uploading the link to Google and you're saying, hey, I don't want them to link to me. And then Google will disavow that link. That's how you do that. It
Okay.
really doesn't take much time. And if it would make you feel better, do it. And I have done that for like big business that, well, not big. They're like mid-sized business. They were driving about 10 to 15,000 per month to their site, and they were getting a ton. And we're talking like, I was disavowing probably 2 to 300
Oh
links
my God.
to them per month. And in that case, it was worth it because that could start hurting them. But most times these links aren't going to kill you. they're not really going to make a big difference, especially because it's them linking to you. So it's not going to hurt as much. But if it would make you feel better and it's like real spammy and weird, go disavow it. And there are very easy ways, and I can talk to you about that later, but there are very easy ways of doing it. And like Google will actually walk you through the process, and it's super simple.
Okay, perfect. And then one follow-up question, it's also hopefully
Yeah,
quick. I've
please.
had a publication happen about a year ago, and I've double checked that on their site the link works, but it's still not showing up on my site backlinks, which feels a little weird. Is that just kind of the delay in the Google process, or is there something else going on there possibly?
That's really weird. And now I kind of want to look at your site to see why that is, because most times, so some sites are really annoying, like Forbes. They'll do a no follow, which
Yeah,
means that they can click and it will take you to your site, but they're telling Google not to follow. So you don't get credit
rude.
for that backlink, even though you're getting it, which is really annoying because it really doesn't do anything for Forbes to do. It's not just them, there's a lot of sites that do that. But normally, if that's the case, it would still show up on your end.
Right.
It would just have no follow, which means you're not getting any credit for it. So I don't know why that is. That is very strange but I'm guessing there's something in the no follow there. And that's why you're probably just not getting credit for it, which really sucks.
Okay. Yeah.
I would reach out to them and ask them because they can actually change that if there's somebody that you did a partnership with. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hey, Sarah,
Um,
I have another
yeah.
question in the chat. Do you mind?
No, please. Yeah.
Is there a site for you to score your authority? And if so, what is that site? Like to know what
Yes,
the
absolutely. And you probably could get a ton of different versions. There's a lot of different tools. Here's what I would highly recommend. We'll go into this a little later too when I'm talking about keywords, but um, Ahrefs and SEMrush are the two that almost I feel very confident in saying 85% of SEOs, like people that are working in this industry, that's what we use, SEMrush and Ahrefs. I believe that both offer a free version, and it's as simple as like you putting in your URL and it will just feed you all the beautiful information. And I'll actually show you because the other great thing and why I highly recommend doing this is they offer plugins too. I have downloaded. So now anytime I go on, so later when I'm looking at one of your sites, or if no one wants to volunteer, I have another site pulled up that I was going to show you. It actually gives me like a briefing of all the information I need to know without me even having to go into Ahrefs. So I can see all of it, which is money for you guys. So Ahrefs, SEMrush. I do know like there are other keyword help, like Google has one that helps with keywords. Uber Suggest is another free one. I would just recommend SEMrush, Ahrefs, those two. They're amazing. And again, we'll go into a little bit more. And if you have more, like keep throwing them at me. But okay, so then the next pillar is consistent content. So basically, and this can be, I'm going to say this a lot, many times, because I just want everybody to remember it. It's contextual. Your industry, your niche, your audience, all those things can impact how any strategy or SEO type of work essentially impacts your website, right? So if I'm talking to you about consistent commerce content and you're an e-commerce site, so if I have anybody in here that's e-commerce, this might look like, instead of a weekly blog article, which I highly recommend, but we'll talk about that later, you might have product descriptions that you're constantly updating, and you might not be in a space where you can write a blog, or it might not make sense to make a blog in e-commerce. So instead, I would say, okay, look at your product descriptions and make sure to keep those updated. Make sure to basically keep your site alive. Give your site updates on any sort of content, whether you're updating something old or whether you're changing a FAQ page. We'll talk about all of this, but the more that you update your site, basically that triggers Google to come back and say, oh, there's something new here. And if you do it on a very consistent basis, Google will actually learn that. And so if you post a blog, let's say every other Wednesday, Google's actually going to start coming back to you every other Wednesday and crawling your site and seeing like what's new there, which is great for you because that means you have a chance of ranking. Now, if you're doing a blog once a month, sometimes once every 2 months, that's fine. It's not really going to help you in terms of SEO growth. You might get a one-off, which is great and it works really well for you. But if you really want to set an intention to build SEO and have that foundation, you need to be very consistent with it. But again, this can be any type of content. So it doesn't just have to be a blog. If you're publishing a case study, a new testimonial on your site, if you want to do new web copy, anything like that will count for Google as you creating something new. And I think I have later on updating old content, which is a great trick to use, especially if you don't have the time and or budget. You could take older content that you have, just give it a little revamp, and then Google will be like, what? It's new, even though it's not. But then it'll kind of force it to go through too. Okay. Now for the money. Web copy. Does anybody have any questions so far before we like dig into the web copy? Because this is the fun part that I like to explain. No? Okay, cool. So web copy, the great thing about what I'm going to explain to you now about how web copy works is it works exactly the same if you do blogs on your site. So keep that in mind when you're creating the consistent content that you're going to build out after we have this call today, right? So the main part of web copy is we're going to focus on a homepage right now, right? So it's all about balancing speaking to Google, so in a technical term, and also speaking to your audience at the same time. And what I've seen a lot is that people do one or the other, where they'll have most of the time they have engaging, beautiful, really cool content. It's like trendy, but what they're saying won't ever make any sense to a machine that is Google. And so the key is to try to do both at the same time. And so that's what I'm going to try to help with, or at least give you some context around it so that you can do that for your own site. So when somebody gets to your site, the most important, am I still coming through? Because I was like lagging a little. No, I see it now. Okay. I was worried about good, cool. So the most important spot is when somebody comes to your site, the first thing they see at the top is the hero. I'm sure a lot of you know this already. It's that main part that pops up. This is your hook. This is your chance. This is the prime real estate for web copy on your site. One, you have a chance to hook your audience. Two, you have a chance to hook Google. This is the first thing that everybody is going to see, machine and real person, right? And so what you want to do is choose a primary keyword that's going to be right there that explains what you do. And then we'll kind of work down from there. So every single page of your website, not just the homepage, but every other page of your website should target one primary keyword. Now, there are some SEOs who are like, target 50. That's fine. I say no, especially when you're a small business. Don't be afraid to niche down. You can absolutely target, and I'll talk about how to choose keywords, more than one keyword, but there should be one primary main keyword, and that should be exactly what you do. That is the keyword that you're targeting. That's the keyword that you want to most rank for your audience. And that can be a really tricky to choose, especially if you're in a very competitive space. Content marketing for me, for example, real hard to make a choice there because it's going to be really high difficulty. So I would have to choose something low difficulty that might not have as big of a volume around the keyword because I want the chance to show up. And that's what's most important. So we'll go into the keywords a little bit, but one primary keyword, and that keyword should live in the main part of the top of your page, because you want to say to someone, this is who I am the moment they get there. They should have no question, and Google also should have no question about who you are. So if you say like a catchy phrase or something fun, that might be great, but Google's not going to click on to who you are. And the whole idea of web copy or any content on your site is that you are not just targeting correct keywords for Google, but then all of your other content throughout is kind of giving supplemental information to Google about who you are, and so that you're kind of giving a roundabout idea and Google starts to form an idea of it. So for example, some blogs that I've written end up ranking for 300 keywords. We're only going after one, but it's Google starting to understand like, oh, well, you say this keyword in here, but you probably also mean all of these others too, because it'll start putting the pieces together. It's like a puzzle, right? So anyway, you target one main keyword, you can target a couple secondary keywords, you work that into the main hero of your site. And that target keyword goes into the main hero of your page It also goes into your meta description. I'm going to show you all this. It's going to go into the meta description of your page. It's also going to go into your page title that's in the back end, super important. And if you can work it into the copy throughout, that is money if you can do that. If it doesn't work authentically, don't worry about it. But if you can work it in more than once, that would be very, very helpful. And then secondary keywords too. If you can work in secondary keywords, just authentic organically is the best way of doing it, because Google has changed their algorithm. So they recognize more authentic content is what they're really just trying to compete against ChatGPT, but that's essentially what they're saying. Okay. So then we talked about page titles, meta description. I want to talk about the keywords too. Yes, and then ensuring the correct formatting. That's something that's really important as well. So every page should have one title tag, which is that hero section. That's your title tag, and that's an H1. And I'll show you what all of this means. And then the rest of them should be H2s. You don't want more than one H1. It confuses Google. So basically what happens, I'm trying not to use jargon because that's super annoying, but basically what happens is you get a crawl budget. When Google comes to your site, they're indexing your entire site. And you get a very specific amount of time. We call it a crawl budget, that it's going to do that before it's like, all right, peace out, homie. I'll see you in 2 weeks. And then it leaves. And so you want to make it as efficient and optimized and easy for it to index as possible. And the way that you do that is make sure that you have all of your formatting perfectly aligned. You have one H1 tag, which is the heading, the hero, and then the rest of them are H2s and H3s. Those are the ones. So any main section that you have, so I know I'm willing to guess that some of you have a section that says how it works or about me. That's prime real estate. Those are going to be headers. You don't always have to change that. A lot of people have how it works, but if you can find a way to like work in a secondary keyword into those headings, it's just going to again reinforce to Google who you are. So make sure to look at all of the headings you currently have, read it out loud to yourself, take yourself out of context of who you are and what you do, and ask yourself, if Google came here and only read that, would Google recognize what I do? And if the answer is no, then consider optimizing it and changing it, if that helps anybody. Okay. Okay, so I want to go to keyword, and I think I go right into the volunteer thing. Yeah. Okay. I want to go into keywords really quick because, and then we'll go into the volunteer section. So basically how to choose keywords. When your domain authority is lower, even at the 22, because 22 is a really solid, and you could probably go after some more difficult keywords. Most strategies I take almost every time with a smaller business looking to grow or set a foundation for SEO, I say, go after low difficulty keywords, especially if you have a domain authority that's like under 5. You should be going after keywords, especially web copy keywords that are under 20 difficulty. And so every keyword gets a ranking. They get ranked from non-applicable, which means that they're kind of starting to rank. Google recognizes them, but not fully yet, all the way to 100, which is like, this is going to be the hardest of the hard to rank for, right? So let's talk about running shoes. Probably going to be a really hard, difficult keyword to rank for, because you're going up against Nike, Adidas, like all these really high domain authority sites that already have the top spots. So the chance of you getting in on one of those spots and getting ahead of Nike is very rare, which means that instead, if you're selling running shoes, I would say go after running shoes for a beginner, running shoes for a woman, running shoes. I would go niche, take it way smaller to where, okay, running shoes might be 90 difficulty and have 100,000 people searching it a month. Great. But you're never going to rank on page 1 for it. So what's the point, right? Instead, running shoes for beginners has a 18, which it's probably way more than that, but let's just say it has 18 difficulty, but only 150 people are searching for it a month. But with an 18 difficulty, you have a huge shot of showing up on page 1. So you can get in front of those 150 people that are looking directly for what you're offering, or you've got no shot and going in front of those, 100,000 people or however many are searching, if that helps. So look at keywords that way. Don't pay as much attention to the volume yet. Pay more attention to your chance of beating out who's currently ranking. And a good way of doing that, Ahrefs like will help you find good keywords. But a good way of doing that, just Google the keyword. If you don't want to invest in Ahrefs or you don't want to invest whatever, Google whatever keyword you're thinking about and look at those top spots. And then think to yourself, okay, can I beat out ZipRecruiter and Indeed and some of these major sites? Maybe not. But if ZipRecruiter and Indeed are the top two, but then 3 to 10 for, hiring a sales manager or whatever are just these random sites, you might have a chance of beating those. So that's kind of like an overview of keyword. Does anyone have any questions before we go to I'm going to ask someone to share or I'll share? Everybody feel
Is
good?
there a reliable place to look up what the difficulty is for the keyword, or is that still just like the Ahrefs? Okay.
Ahrefs. You can use Uber Suggest. That's a free one that I've heard about a lot.
And
I have not used
SEMrush
it
has
though.
a free version. Can they do some keywords on SEMrush free?
Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. That's like the basic of the basic. Like you should be able to do keyword research. Like that should be fairly simple. Do you want me to, would it help anyone if I showed you what that looks like? Would that be
Yep.
helpful for
Yeah.
anyone?
And
Okay.
Sarah, I have a question for whenever, which is
No,
if
please.
you're starting geographically limited and expanding, what is the right strategy for capturing the first geography and then others? Because I think Mandy has a geographic constraints too, if I'm right.
Yeah.
So I thought that might be relevant
So
for
you're
both of us.
targeting based on location, but you want to eventually expand to bigger locations?
Yep, to other locations. So is there a methodical way to do that?
Yes. Yes. So the best way to do that, I would focus most of your energy right now on where you're at currently, because again, it takes SEO a long time to grow. The
Yep,
great way to do geographical locations, though, landing pages, because
yep,
you're able to keep your main site kind of vague where or generalized where you don't have to hone in, because I always hate when people hone in on their main website, because then you're alienating everyone else that might come from outside of that space. So instead you
yep,
keep your main site pretty generalized, but then use landing pages to target very specific locations, which by the way oftentimes are actual keywords. Like I worked with a web developer in Michigan, and we targeted like 4 different areas in Michigan, but it was like web developer Grand Rapids, web developer, and
yep.
we did it that
Okay,
way. And so he's got tons of landing pages, and most of the landing pages are saying essentially the same thing. You're just targeting the different area. So I would say that's your way to go, especially
got it.
with geography.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, that helps because we've done that with other things, but not with SEO as much, like the neighborhoods or whatever, or
Oh,
the
yes.
resort, the mountain resorts, that kind of thing. So perfect, thanks.
Yes, yes. Landing pages are a way to go. And don't do the typical paid. I wouldn't do the typical paid, because there's a difference between landing pages for that type of thing and a landing page for like a paid campaign. Do an actual like sales like landing page that looks nice like your site, and link back to your site so they can get there. Like make it a legit landing page. Because if
Yeah,
it's like a 1-2 punch type of paid, it's just different. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing and then reshare.
I did have a question on the landing page thing.
Please.
So
Yeah.
you're not talking about like the URL itself. You're talking about a page on the site, right? As far as like a location page on the site, like when you said like web developers Cleveland or whatever, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like, so yeah, it's actually not on your site. It's a separate standalone page, but it links back to your site. I mean, it would have the same branding, it would have the same, everything. And then the URL would, yes, it would be like, it would likely be your
It would just
URL
be a
backslash
URL
like,
plus a whatever kind of thing, but it is its own standalone page. Okay, I think I get.
yes,
Okay.
basically,
yes,
whoever
exactly.
searches for blank in, web developer Grand Rapids goes to the Grand Rapids landing page. And so you just, and they're probably duplicative, right?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
yes, it's exactly it. Yep.
Okay.
And now let me pull up. It's so funny. Nicole, I pulled up like my notes to have, and I've not looked at it one time. Okay, I'm gonna pull up, and I'm sorry because my computer's like breathing so heavy. She's so tired. Um, first of all, I'm going to pull up one site that I'm actually working on today, the web copy for, and I've worked on the web copy for their entire site. And so I'm just going to go over this like real briefly, and then I'll show you the back end because I want to show you the thing. So hold, please. And I really wanted to give like 5-10 minutes at the end for questions. So I'm going to try really hard to do that. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Okay. Okay, here we go. So this is the site. This is the client I'm currently working with. They're called Phone Ninjas. And I've been working with them for about a year. Finally convinced them 6 months in, like, please let us redo all of your web content because their homepage, was really vague. And Phone Ninjas, you probably wouldn't immediately think, oh, they are a phone training for car salesmen. That doesn't help when you just hear Phone Ninjas. So we kind of reworked all their copy, and they just came back to me and asked me to rework this because this right here, by the way, even their site didn't have a picture of a car on it. I was like, okay, but you're like, you sell, like, it's for car sale. Anyway, so this is their contract page, which can sound confusing, right? So basically this is their employee page, we're hiring page, and they're not getting enough leads because they want to hire people. And so they asked me to optimize it. This is how I start, by looking at it. So I'm looking at this page. First thing I do is go to the top now. And I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see me use this. Do you see this little button up here? The Ahrefs toolbar? Yes.
Yep.
Can you see it open up when I click it? Because sometimes it doesn't show to people, which is weird to me. Oh, hold
Is it
on. It's
happening
just
right
going to take
now?
forever.
Okay.
It should be in a minute. It's because my computer hates life. It's just like so tired. It's also going into 2025. Like, no. Come on. Anyway, this is the Ahrefs like plugin that I was talking about that's super valuable. Now, I don't know if you're not doing this on a daily basis, how valuable it might be for you. But if you are redoing your website or you want to look, it might be worth it just to download. I'm gonna end up having to go to the site.
There's
It's fine.
another one I discovered, Sarah, if you have Squarespace. If anyone here
Yeah.
uses Squarespace, it's called SEO Space. And it has a little thing, and you can search every page, and it tunes it while you're doing it and gives you a score. It's
Love that.
so cool. Yeah.
I'm totally going to use it because I have a client right now I'm working with that is on Squarespace. So it's great.
And I use the free version, but it has a cheap, really cheap, higher level version. It's one guy in the UK. I love it. So yeah, highly recommend.
That's amazing.
You said it's
yeah, and I was able to.
SEO Space. Is that correct?
I think that's what she said.
Yeah,
Oh,
I did. I
perfect.
just
Thank
put
you.
it in the chat. Yep.
Awesome. Okay, so how I start looking at a page, obviously I'll look up here, which is not currently working, but it's fine. This is that hero that I was talking about earlier. And see, right now it says contract work, contract with our team of professional coaches and coaching assistants. So my first thing is, this doesn't say anything to me about hiring someone or working on phone. Like, that doesn't really say anything to me as an audience. And certainly to Google, contract work is absolutely a keyword, but that is so vague that it could mean anything. You're not going to actually pull a very specific audience. So that's like what I'm first looking at. And right now I'm literally working on the copy right now. And I found like a phone jobs from home or jobs on the phone from home and stuff. And I'm like, that is exactly what this is, which is why I want to target it. And it's a great keyword. And so the same thing. So this section here, just to give you guys context, like, this is an H2. So, they must possess the following, whatever. But like, again, this is an opportunity for me to work in a keyword and tell exactly what the job is or what it's for. And we're losing opportunity by not doing that. These each probably should have text below them. So just filling it out a little bit more. It's a great quote, but it also doesn't have like, is this a mission? Is this from the company? What are the benefits? I mean, so there's a lot to be desired here. So that's just a quick like, oh, and then what it takes. So you're telling, all of the people, they have to have all of these skills, and then you're ending it below with saying what it takes and what they need to be able to do again, instead of telling them what could be there for them. Like what's the value proposition for them to even apply for a job? Because nothing here right now says that. So I'm trying to use this as an example just to show that, like, be super critical about your site. Go through each different section of your website and ask yourself those questions, and ask yourself, does this speak to my audience? Does this speak to my audience? And then go back through, does this also speak to Google? And sometimes it's okay not to optimize like a section, because you're not going to have every section optimized. That's just the reality of it. And if you start towing the line of like authenticity and you're really just stacking keywords in, Google doesn't like that either. So just maintain your authenticity and be true to yourself in your web copy, and just try to work in the keywords that work best for them, that are low difficulty. That's the thing that I'm going to stick to. Okay. So let me go into Ahrefs really quickly here. If it actually like goes into it, you know, maybe we'll just be sitting here for the next 10 years and we can't actually go into it. And we can use somebody as an example. Is there anybody that doesn't have keyword research currently that wants me to look up specific keywords around something? And I can show you exactly what that is.
No, but I would love it if you could tell me why we suddenly had a huge drop off in traffic in a month, but
I can look at your site. I could tell you that. Oh, for God. I might have to stop sharing and try to do this again.
I mean, I saw a
Exit
massive
page.
traffic in the last month and I don't know why.
Like, what's your traffic?
We're
What's
averaging
your
around,
what's your normal?
our domain score is like 37 and
Great.
we're wellness travel. So majority, if you search wellness travel pretty much anywhere in the world, organically we're on page 1. We're not actually paying for any of
Oh,
our, we built a
yes.
good content engine, but the challenge that I'm having is we haven't been as focused on it without getting like too much into detail. And I can explain that like in a separate conversation because I don't want to take up too much time here. But we've been trying to keep the traffic going while we're making
Mhm.
these changes. But all of a sudden I saw a massive drop off from like about 37,000 at the beginning of December, or 39,000 down to like 17,000 in a month, the last
Oh
month.
boy. Yeah, do me a favor. I'm gonna give you my email at the end of this. Send me your website,
I
because
would
that's just
love
like a fun nerdy thing for me. Yeah, I'll look that
to talk
up
to you
for sure.
because I've got to figure out a way to increase it anyway, and I'd love to talk to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we need to, there's certain things that we obviously wellness travel is a pretty big deal right now, and I don't want to lose that domain authority, nor do I want to lose
No.
yeah, and that's a significant drop in just 1 month.
I thought I
Um,
heard that Google made some changes last month as well. Could that potentially be an impact that could be affecting her site?
I don't know. I don't know what those changes
yes.
are. I'm not really the
Okay.
one who does most of this. I have a editorial person and she's wondering why as well. So, but she
Yeah,
basically is
look, it popped up.
putting up articles, something like that. So I just don't know. I mean, we're on page 1, like almost anywhere in the world organically for the travel.
Um, yes, and actually, so I'll look at the site. Um, so with a lot of the algorithmic changes that Google has made, and I didn't hear about the one last month though, which concerns me. A lot of travel and food sites are getting hit hard. And it's because, for one reason or the other, it's getting viewed as spammy content, which is honestly, they're just trying to eliminate the chat GPT. That's what it is. They're trying to combat that. And so just a lot of these food and travel sites, for whatever, blogs specifically, but I've noticed others that aren't, that are just in that space, are getting hit. And I talked to a friend of mine that's also, and then she watched also in this space, she watched a press conference with Google, and they were like, all these people are taking hits, like major problems with SEO that they've built up over years, like what, because of this algorithmic change. And Google's response to that was like, yeah, it's a bummer. Like,
Oh, that's
so
true.
they're not, yeah. So they like sucko, not great. Um, but I I'll look and I'll see like what I can find, because I should be able to find like where you lost it, like how you lost that. But see, okay, sorry, just really quick, because I know we're running out of time. And also I wanted to go over like real quick strategies with you. But so this is Ahrefs. SEMrush is set up very similar, but you go to Keyword Explorer. That's where you would go when you get there, and then just start typing in different words that apply to your area. So we can even say developer Grand Rapids. I'm just going to type in random things, but okay. So then the keywords pop up, or should in a minute. Okay, super helpful. So obviously this one's local web developer Grand Rapids. You see where down below here it says NA. Don't discount anything that says NA unless it says, because there are times, see like this one, business travel for wellness, keyword not indexed. That basically means that like not really even on the radar yet. You could still go after those keywords, but if you feel like this is really your niche and you're going to make a keyword out of it, you could absolutely go after that. But I would really stick to ones up here where it's like it's non-applicable, but they're starting to see a little bit around it, which is low-hanging fruit. Start targeting those keywords. And even if you feel like you can't target it in web copy, target it in a blog, you know. But I mean, because for him specifically, web developer in Grand Rapids, those are 10 possible leads. Because if somebody's looking up a web developer in Grand Rapids, they're pretty down the funnel, right? They're not top of funnel anymore. They're like working their way down. They're really looking for somebody. So think about that too. Where are they in the funnel when they're typing this specific keyword? So if you are a marketing coach and somebody is typing in marketing coaches for women, that's pretty like mid to bottom of funnel. That's somebody that's like very intentional about looking for somebody and they want help. So that might be worth going after. And then wellness travel. Oh, and you're ranking for that. That's really awesome because that's a pretty high difficulty, but you have a high domain authority. So that's probably why. So when you find something like this, you can go a little bit deeper. And again, I was trying to wait 10 minutes. Go into the parent topic, type in the parent topic, because that's the main topic. That's the main one that started ranking before that the other one came off of it. And in this case, it's the same one, so it's fine. But once you go into it, you can dig a lot deeper into some of these. And this is how you find your niche. So this might be too hard for you to rank for. I mean, I know your site's already ranking, but for anybody else, that might be too hard. But what is wellness travel? That might be one you can go after. Wellness travel. Let's see. Oh, see, I'm guessing these are some actual name brands, but travel wellness. So
No, they're not.
they
They're
get
not.
tricky.
They're
Oh,
not
cool.
not name brands. That's actually interesting. I mean, what is wellness travel? I mean, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be worth going after. But then you could see people who are ranking for this, they're also
Travel
ranking
to
for all of
Wellness is
these.
the name of a website. I do know that, but
Yes, then you would probably, yeah. But, and then, you know, what they're also talking about. So don't be afraid to like dig into the actual keywords and see the search intent. That's going to be really important is to look at, because if somebody, I'm trying to think of another example, where search intent could be a little bit different from what you have in your mind. So they think it's one thing and then they go to your site and it's completely different. That's not going to help either. So make sure that whatever you're trying to rank for is what they're looking for. And a good way of doing that is looking at jargon and incoming SERPs, which is search engine result page. Take every keyword you want to rank for, type it into Google and see what else is popping up and make sure that you or your content you're creating aligns with what those results are, because that ensures that the search intent is there. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. I want to give at least a minute for questions of any kind, because I know this is like I could talk for 2 hours about this. But yeah, I want to ask if anyone has any questions.
I
Especially
do
if you're okay, go.
I do have a
Please,
question,
please.
and specifically to wellness travel. This should hopefully be for everybody. But I have heard that like LinkedIn, for example, and a lot of these sites are now not looking at the hashtags as much. They're looking more for those keywords. And so even placing hashtags in a lot of these content is not really as valuable as it used to be. And in fact, it can actually lower the content of that particular article. Is that true? Or is that just stuff I'm reading and I'm not getting?
If it's, I haven't seen anything like that when it's on your site. Social is a little bit different, and I would say that that's probably correct. I'm not as into social. Um, you could tell by looking at my Instagram. I'm not as into social, um, but I think that that's probably true. I know that there's been a change. Nothing though, when it comes to your website, would be impacted by the hashtag. It would just be what's connected to some of these social forums. So you wouldn't have to worry about it there. That's the other thing too. Looking at like tags on your site, some people have to do this. Bye. Sorry, I saw somebody saying they have to jump to a meeting. So there's uh like tags and categories and all of that. The way I view things like that is it's more for organization and user experience, less for what it can do for you in terms of SEO, if that helps.
Sarah, we had one question
If
from Martha in the chat that I just wanted to flag. Um,
yeah.
She's asking about how do you know if it's worth it to spend time and money on SEO? So like you mentioned that you're not really focusing on it for yourself and focusing more on human connection, but
Yeah.
is this like minimum viable website that you recommend getting into?
Here's what I would recommend. Set the foundation from the beginning for SEO. So, or even if you're 4 or 5 years in and you're like, I mean, I don't know about an ongoing strategy, just set it up to where you are targeting keywords and you have the foundation, because the foundation of it is the web copy. So just make sure that that is optimized in the best way and you have everything clean and it's fine, even if you don't want to do like a long-term strategy like myself. And for me, and I to know if you should be doing a strategy, I would recommend meeting with someone like it's in this, so me or someone that of course I'll do it, but someone who's also going to be honest and look at your site and be like, yeah, I don't know, like if you need to, here are the other ways that you can go about it. You need somebody who's going to be real transparent about like whether you should or shouldn't. I've actually met with several people who I feel should absolutely be doing something, but not in a big enough way where they would need anything. I've actually suggested like, listen, do a blog every 2 weeks. Or we built out a content calendar for them for 6 months and then they write their own stuff and publish it. And I've taught them how to do that. So you do absolutely need SEO to set the foundation. Beyond that, whether you need a full strategy or whatever, I would lean on somebody that has expertise that you trust to be honest with you about whether or not that's true. I had 2 whole slides I didn't get to. I thought for sure, I was like, I am going to be done in a half an hour. I don't know why I thought that. I can do this real quick if for the people who are still on here. Real quick strategies, update old content that you have. That's a good strategy. It is pouring the snow. What is happening? Sorry. Update old strategies, update product descriptions that you have, or update old content, update product descriptions, publish 2 new blogs a month. That is like minimal, is the 2 new blogs a month I would recommend for almost anybody. And with those blogs, interlink them together, make them evergreen. Don't say something like, well, it's been snowy lately. Nope. Nope, because somebody's reading this in July. That's not going to be relevant to them. So just make them evergreen. Anytime you have the tendency to feel in your heart, like, I want to say, so ready for the warm weather. No, stop. Just evergreen would be great. Be consistent with when you post and how often you post. Be authentically you. That's the biggest thing. Just be authentically who you are, because you're going to be able to connect with people a lot better. It's going to build your brand. That's what it should do. And okay, the last thing, don't just start changing your web copy. Have a plan in place for you doing it. And make sure that if you are changing like your entire website, or you're changing from WordPress to Squarespace, you are putting redirects in place, because any SEO that you have built will immediately be gone the second that you make the other page live and kill the one page. Redirects are crucial, and it's a big thing that I've seen people make mistakes with.
We had
And
about
then the last
450 of those that we had to fix because I like to
read.
change content. Yeah,
Oh no,
it's all
I'm
fixed.
so
It's all
sorry.
fixed.
It does though. I had to do that for a client and I checked it out and I was like, why is her page dead? I could not figure it out. And she just decided one day to change the URL for no reason. I was
Yeah,
like, no, don't do that. Like, the
I
last form
learned.
of advice, I mean, yes, and most people learn it the hard way, right? I mean, you wouldn't know. You don't know until you know.
Yep.
The last thing that I'll say about SEO is be patient. It's going to work for you. It is. You just got to be patient. So it's not a thing that's going to give you ROI overnight. It just isn't, as much as that sucks, but it is crucial for your business and to set into place. So yes, sorry, that's me.
Thank you,
Do you guys
Sarah.
have any questions? Yes, of course. Thank you for coming and listening to me rattle
Thank
on
you.
about nerdy
That
stuff.
email address of yours so that we can connect. I'd love you to
Oh,
look at the site, and I would love
my
to.
last,
I'd love
yeah,
to actually have a conversation with you about it. I think because we want to migrate to a different
CMS.
not a PMS. Well, there's a couple of different things we need to do. The actual magazine part of it is what's driving the traffic but to the site, but our .com is slowing us down a little bit. So I think we've got to figure out like something there. And we also want to get a new theme in place so that we can start actually monetizing the site, because we're not monetizing the site at all.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
I mean,
send me an email. It's funny. My
over a
last slide
million
had my email
visitors
on
a
it.
year. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's like, come on, why can't we monetize this site?
Yeah,
So,
please send me an email, and then should I put that in the chat, my email? Would that be helpful?
yeah, if you want to do that, that would be great. I'll send you an email right now. Maybe we could book a time to talk or something if you've got a few minutes.
Yes, and I wanted to say to everybody left on here too, please feel free if you have questions, and anyone who came to the event today, if you have one-off questions about, it takes me 5 seconds to look on the back end of your site and answer your question. Happy to do it. Like, it's really not a big thing. It's probably a lot easier for me to do that than for you to spend 10 hours trying to Google and figure it out. So like, please feel free to email me at any time, ask questions. I'm happy to answer them and just kind of help out anywhere that I can. So yeah, but I'm just so excited that I got to talk to everybody today, and I only went over 4 minutes. It's a miracle.
I am so sorry I'm late. I missed part of it. I'm like, I missed most of your presentation. I'm like, can't wait to watch the recording. So
Oh, thanks.
I was
Thank
actually
you.
with that stuff. Like, oh gosh, I'm just
Oh, listen, say no more. It is a week already pouring down the snow. Just, yeah.
not in Florida, but it is cold here.
Well,
Well,
Sarah,
I'll pass it back to Nicole. Yeah.
so much. Yes, thank you. This was wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And for anybody who came late, know that there will be a recording of this. It will live in on-demand education, so you can watch any pieces that you missed. But Sarah, thank you for your wisdom and your expertise and your
Yeah.
time and your energy, and for just always being so willing to support fellow members and just being in your zone of genius. And it's so much fun to witness you in that. So thank you. And
Thank you.
for coming. It was great to see you, and thanks for dropping your email in so that people can get to connect with you after the fact. And I'm just wishing all of you a wonderful rest of your week and start to your new year, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye.
Awesome.
everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.